Hello everybody and welcome back to the Fortress of Solitude. Today we're going to be checking out Absolute Power issue 4 by Mark Waid and Dan Mora. The heroes of Earth reunite against Waller for one final push against her and Task Force 7 on Gamora Island. Waller isn't caught off guard thanks to Oliver Queen, who ordered all troops back to the island to defend them as the rest of the heroes regroup in the Dark Road. After we saw Steve Trevor's integral role in freeing the heroes in the Task Force 7 tie-in and the Wonder Woman tie-in, I expected him to be a big part of this issue, or at least a substantial part of this issue, like helping the heroes and coordinating the battle, but he's just kind of casually waved away, with Wonder Woman saying he's off securing the villains in the prison below, even though the last time we saw him he was under fire and seemingly didn't think he was going to survive, which is why he told Wonder Woman about the gateway. And Wonder Woman didn't seem to help him, or maybe she did off panel. It's just very strange that we didn't actually get a solid ending to that story, which I thought we were in this issue. Despite all of that, the heroes get on with their plan, which will be to break into the base and have Batman neutralize the Amazos with what he has learned about Time Commander's hourglass. This is where Waid expertly pulls in things from the tie-ins, specifically the Green Lantern tie-in where Hal and Wally teamed up to find schematic files on the island at the Hall of Order, which gives the heroes an edge and tells them where Batman will need to go in the base. They also learn of the multiversal gateway in the basement, something that Flash was told about by a Time Commander last issue and is already there dealing with it. Before going into battle, we get a very brief moment with Airwave, the new hero we've been seeing Waid use every now and then. He had a great moment in issue 2 and 3 with Aquaman, where he kind of learned what it is to be a hero, and we see him get a new souped up version of his suit from Nightwing, since his suit was actually destroyed during the big battle at the Fortress of Solitude. Dick tells the young hero to stick by him during the battle, and the time comes and the heroes launch their assault on Gamora Island, where Sarge Steel and the soldiers' weapons are all seemingly deactivated by Green Arrow, who finally turns against Waller, as in the basement, Flash battles Baroness Blitzkrieg, Thunder Jolt, and Johnny Quick, the three multiversal Flashes who managed to come over through the gateway and were protecting it on Waller's orders. The Flashes want to open this portal and let all of their friends from Earth 3 and the various other worlds into Earth Prime so they can continue to subjugate it. Waid really isn't slowing up here, keeping this kinetic action moving at a nice pace and kind of signposting like, okay, this is where these plot points from these tie-ins are starting to come in, and he's balancing it really well. There is a lot to balance in this issue, and he's doing a pretty good job of it. It does feel a little bit rushed in some portions of it, but it's never sort of, swaying too much that it's just going to crash and burn, I think. This is coupled with Dan Mora's just fantastic art, and throughout this entire issue he gets to paint a bevy of different heroes and villains all fighting each other, all which looks great and very consistent. Like there's no drop off, especially when it comes to the giant double page spreads, where usually because there's a double page spreads, you've got you're against the clock in drawing these things, so sometimes some detail is left out or corners are cut just to make up for time, but it never feels like that with Dan. Everything just looks fantastic and is consistent throughout this entire issue. The heroes, thanks to Superman being one of the only people with powers, are able to blow through the defenses, and Nightwing and John race inside to go and confront Waller. Flash, meanwhile, isn't having a good time dealing with the multiversal portal though, but his best friend Hal Jordan stops by to give him a hand, sealing up the portal with a construct. The shield, however, begins to break and won't hold thanks to the forces pushing themselves through the portal, so Flash needs to work fast. After having seen Hal team with Wally in the Green Lantern tie-ins of this event, I love the reunion with Hal and Barry here, and it just feels right to have them back in this moment. His friends come back him up, and it's just really cool. The heroes topside, meanwhile, are confronted by the Task Force 7 as Nightwing is captured by Failsafe and Waller uses kryptonite to weaken John. The desperation Waid writes Waller across this entire first part of this issue, and really the last two issues of this event, has been so damn cool. All her work is starting to sort of fall around her, and she is now backed into a corner, so she's kind of lashing out because she doesn't have any plans or contingencies. It's a side of her we never really see since she's always so calm and in control, and it reminds me of the early stuff we saw with her over in the John Ridley tie-ins, the Absolute Power Origins, where as a younger Waller, she was very much like this. She was very headstrong and very, reactive when it comes to things. Case in point, when Batman broke into Belle Reve to confront her, she immediately tried to determine who he is and wanted to stop at nothing to ensure that he never gets a chance to do this again, and it just became her obsession. And we see that here, where she's just obsessed with trying to bring order to a world she thinks doesn't have order because the heroes create chaos. So one of the mistakes that Waller ended up making was keeping Time Commander alive, as Batman and Blue Beetle find him, working with the villain to reverse engineer the hourglasses inside Task Force 7. Time Commander reveals that all of the hourglasses are linked, and thanks to the override he just made, if any one of the 7 is hit with the device, a chain reaction will begin and destroy the hourglasses all at once, rewinding the time inside of it to release all of the superpowers they stole and give them back to their original users. Before Batman and the others can use the device, however, they are attacked by Last Son, who blasts them and prevents the device from being activated, seemingly killing Time Commander. It's not really made clear whether he actually died or not, but we only see like his hand kind of gripping the device and he's covered in rubble, so I would assume he died in this moment, and in which case he kind of died a hero, which is really interesting, and I wonder if they will do something about that. I wonder if they'll bring him back or like honor him as a hero, because he did help the heroes here in the end. Hal, meanwhile, gets a boost of willpower from the Flash family, who arrive to help Hal bolster the shield on the gateway. Wallace sees this and decides it's time to shift her plans to just killing the heroes instead of imprisoning and subjugating them, claiming that she just wanted justice to end the chaos all of these heroes seemingly bring to the Earth. The gateway unfortunately opens, but before the Amazos can finish their job, Green Arrow finds the device Time Commander made and uses an arrow to fire it at Paradise Lost, who, thanks to the chain reaction it causes, spreads the deactivation codes to the other Amazos, sending out all of the gathered powers back to their respective heroes. So this is the green power we see both on the cover and what I assumed that Oliver was going to use against the heroes, or what was in the box that Martian Manhunter gave him, since in the Green Arrow tie-ins he gathered the box that Martian Manhunter gave him at the end of the Scott Snyder Justice League run, and it contained something that can kill the Justice League and emanated a green power much like this. So that's why I thought maybe this was them being attacked by that power. But I like this much better. I think this is a fantastic way to, bring the heroes back to full strength. We get a great sequence of all the powers returning to people like Superman and Wonder Woman, although it's not all good, as some end up with powers from different heroes, like Fire and Ice switching powers, and Raven seemingly becoming a beast person, much like Beast Boy. This is no doubt going to be a big part of the All-In initiative, heroes with different powers, and explains why people like Lois end up with powers as well, I guess. So I'm guessing we're just going to have to read some of the All-In titles to see where this leads. With the Amazos down, Waller turns on Nightwing with just a simple gun, but is stopped by Dreamer, who seemingly isn't dead and very angry at Amanda. As the heroes destroy the Amazos, Oliver explains to Batman that he really wasn't a turncoat, but he had to earn Waller's trust, which meant doing some unscrupulous things thanks to all of the psychics and telepaths she had on hand to test him. So until Martian Manhunter's telepathic implant timed out, he wasn't able to enact his plan against her. So I guess Manhunter was also involved in Oliver's plan, which we didn't really get any of because he was captured so early in the game, and that's kind of his explanation to the heroes of why he never told them. But this feels very convenient to the moment and maybe should have been signposted to us just a little bit more, since while it doesn't absolve Oliver of what he did, it alleviates them greatly, which is a shame since I really love Turncoat Oliver and what that meant for him and his recently returned family. I'm kind of reminded about Blood Hunt and how Blade was set up as the big villain of the story, and then it was revealed that he was like kind of possessed and kind of absolved him of all the sins that he caused during that event, and all the heroes just kind of like, it's okay. It's kind of like that. There is a little bit more to it here, whereas the heroes are obviously still very pissed at Oliver, and he has his own ongoing, which will definitely explore all of that. So there is places they can go with it, but it just felt a little bit too convenient for me that this would happen right now. So now on to Dreamer, who takes down Waller and reveals that she did in fact die in the Fortress of Solitude explosion, but thanks to John constantly dreaming about her while under the control of the Brainiac Queen, she was able to reform herself within his mind and take a physical body again. Because dreams are just that strong, especially when someone can control those dreams and sort of pull them all together to reform her body. This is tied in obviously to that not so good Super Sun tie-in, which was the first half was really great of that tie-in, and then the second half kind of felt very fan fiction-y, and it felt like a real last minute convenient twist to bring her back here. I quite like that she actually did the heroic thing and died there at the end, but I guess she had to come back in some way or some form, and we'll get to why she came back a little later on in the issue, and it's pretty good. They've kind of absolved themselves here, I think, a little bit with Dreamer, since I didn't particularly like where that Super Sun book took her. With Waller down, the only thing left is the Gateway, which Flash tells the heroes he can shut down now, but it will cut them off from the multiverse permanently. Left with no other choice, Flash activates the computer and destroys the Gateway, cutting them off from the multiverse. Despite seeing her operation completely in shambles, Waller goes on a rant about using the AI and the news networks against the heroes, meaning that despite all of this blowing up in her face, the people still don't trust the heroes, and they never will again. This is where Airwave comes into the story with an awesome twist, as Nightwing reveals that he's been having the villain's monologue broadcast to the entire world via Airwave and his abilities, meaning the entire world now knows that Waller was against them the entire time. With Waller finally beaten, the world moves back to a sense of normality as the heroes help rebuild the Fortress of Solitude, and Barry tells Wally that they are now cut off from the multiverse, and on top of that, he now no longer has any speed powers, which I guess explains why he's getting a new costume over in the Flash ongoing and will probably end up giving him his powers back, or, a version of his powers. This isn't the first time Flash has lost his powers, and it won't be the last. Waller, meanwhile, is sealed away in solitary confinement, where Dreamer confronts her for what she did to her and her family. This is where Wade drops probably my favorite part of the issue, and something that really changed how I view Dreamer, especially after that Super Sons book. And it's revealed that Waller cannot remember any of the information that she took on the heroes and any information she gathered over the decades of work with Task Force X. She can't remember where the Batcave is, who Cyborg really is, who Green Lantern is under that mask, none of it. And she knows that she knew it but can't actually remember. It's like on the tip of her tongue, and I'm sure we've all had that where we can remember something but we can't actually say it. Like, it's on just right there on the tip of the tongue, and it just drives you insane. And this is what is happening to Waller here. She can't remember any of this, but also can remember it. And Dreamer reveals that she took all of these memories, all of this information that Waller had, bundled it all together and stored it so deep in Waller's mind that she can never find it again. I like that Waller immediately thought that she had her mind erased, and Dreamer quips that that would be unethical and very unsuperhero-like, much like how Waller kept calling her a very goody two-shoes and afraid to get her hands dirty. And I like that this is playing on the journey she had as a hero during the Suicide Squad Dream Team book, and where she wanted to do the right thing in that book, but Waller kept drumming into her that no, that's not how the world is. The world is not black and white. There's shades of grey, and she needed to realize this in order to become part of Waller's team, and she eventually did, and now she's using that against Waller, and I think that's really damn cool. This is also a fitting punishment for Waller. She spent her entire life taking all of this information, keeping it safe so she can blackmail people with it and use it for her advantage, and now that's been taken away from her. The one thing she dedicated her life to has been taken away from her, and it's made her life nothing now. She no longer has anything, and her doing this work cost her family, so she no longer has that either. So it's such a great punishment for this woman, and it also helps reset her to basically, zero. She's now just the overseer of the Suicide Squad and government criminal. She's, not this big time hitter that this event and Dark Crisis and everything built her up to be. She's been knocked down a couple of pegs by these heroes. As Waller rots in her cell, the Trinity meanwhile meet with Green Arrow, who of course has a lot of explaining to do, and the heroes know it, citing Red Tornado might have been taken offline forever thanks to his actions. Heroes are getting the powers of other heroes, and even some new people are getting powers. powers, meaning that there are problems cropping up all around the world. And lastly, Oliver blindsided all of his friends, and this is actually why Oliver wanted to talk with the Trinity, since as he puts it, they never should have stood down the Justice League, and they need to be bigger and more coordinated and more proactive than ever. Batman reveals that he and Oliver have been talking and they've been working on something, showing Superman and Wonder Woman the new and improved Justice League watchtower that they're going to construct for all of Earth's heroes. I think it's interesting that Oliver is the one who is asking for the Justice League to come back, being that he is so against the establishment and against something like this, going so far as to call them jackbooted thugs who think they rule the world. And now he understands the need for them and why these heroes need to exist to stop people like Waller from gaining too much power. It's a neat bit of character development for Oliver, and I'm looking forward to seeing how he reckons with this over in his ongoing and how that's going to affect, his family and everything that's going on over in that book, as well as what's going to happen in the Justice League Unlimited series from Wade, since that's where everything from here is kind of culminating together. Absolute Power issue 4 was an action and story-packed finale that rounded out Mark Waid's big summer event in a pretty satisfying way that leads nicely into the new All-In initiative and Absolute Universe DC are gearing up to release later this month. At times through the book though, it did feel rushed since it was balancing quite a fair bit on its plate, but it never felt like it got away from Wade, and he stuck the landing. I think he did a great job making sure everything was kind of rounded out in some way or positioned in a way that another writer can come and pick up in one of the series ongoings in the All-In initiative. I thought he gave a satisfying ending to Waller's story for now, and even built up Dreamer in a really interesting way, using the character's recent arcs to develop her character in an actually cool and creative way that makes her quite a formidable hero. I can't wait to dive into All-In and the Absolute Universe and explore the fallout of this event across the various series of it. I'm going to give this issue a 9 out of 10.